a very good evening. Today, as you all know, we are going to understand the concepts related to budget. We will analyze the budget of the year 2023-24, which is the current financial year, right? And we'll also understand a few terms in it. Okay, so I will share a document. I hope that you all have received a document which is like a summarized version of the budget 2023-24 in the announcement section. Okay, it's an easy take on how you can understand the budget on and how you can look for important information, something that you will be writing in the examination, something that will be helpful in writing in the paper, right? So we are going to look for that, okay, and we are going to understand all of those things, right? And we'll have a quick browse through of the whole part A and part B of the budget and analyze it, okay? But before we do that, we of course are going to understand it through some key terms, okay? And we will discuss a few key terms. So I will discuss a few key terms with you all, okay? Okay, so budget. There is nothing like analysis or discussion or summary associated with this term, okay? What we understand about this term is that this is a major document which will have certain amount of expenditures, right? And we will basically plan about these expenditures, right? Expenditures for what? For all sectors of the economy, right? And what will it represent? It will represent growth and development of each sector or each segment which has been mentioned, right? So why are we learning this, or why do we need to understand it? Budget to har baar aata hai, har saal, every year there will be a new budget, right? Every year there will be a new document which you will have to study. But why do we study, or what is the objective behind the studying? You have to clearly understand it. It is only a plan or like a blueprint, okay? It is a blueprint. It is a structure for the government, okay? And through that structure or through that blueprint, the government will do expenditures for different sectors of the economy, whether it is agriculture, manufacturing, industry, allied sectors, import, export, any sector or any segment. Segment matlab kya hota hai? Segment meaning if there is a segment of women and children, there is a segment of dependent, there is a segment of youth, right? So the budget will always talk about these two things, sectors and segments. क्यों हम expenditure कर रहे हैं? Why does the government do these expenditures? For growth and development of these segments and these sectors, right? So when you will look at these different sectors, now you all should remember that not every time the budget document will have all the sectors, okay? Or not every time. हर बार ऐसा नहीं होगा कि there will be all the sectors that the government will be talking about, right? Why? Because the government will incline towards priority of economy. Okay, let me give you an example. Tell me, in the year 2020 and in the year 2021, which are the sectors where maximum amount of expenditure has been done by the government? For the year 2020 and 2021, which are the sectors and segments where maximum government expenditure has been done? Tell me quickly. Tell me quickly. ईयर 2020 और ईयर 2021 में ऐसे कौन से एक्सपेंडिचर्स हुए हैं, ऐसे कौन से सेगमेंट्स हैं, ऐसे कौन से सेक्टर्स हैं जहां पे मैक्सिमम एक्सपेंडिचर्स हुए हैं? यस, वेरी गुड इशिका. मेडिसिन. यस. हु एल्स विल ऑल्सो टेल अबाउट दिस? वैक्सीन्स. यस, वेरी गुड. वेरी गुड. यस, व्हाट एल्स? What else? Vaccines. Okay. All right. Very good. Okay. So what do we understand by this? We understand that in the year 2020 and 2021, although there was so many things, there are so many things for the government to take care of. Okay, there is agricultural sector also, allied activities also, import export also, construction also, manufacturing also, industries also, services also, and there are so many services, right? However, yes, transportation sector. Okay, so however, in every budget for the following year, the government is going to aim for some priority things. It can be segments, it can be sectors, कि हमें इस साल कुछ ऐसा अचीव करना है ताकि ये साल खत्म होते होते there has to be some major economic development, or there has to be some major segment who has received the economic development, right? And which is why the budget will always tell you about government's inclination towards a certain sector which the government thinks ki is saal ki priority hai. Now it can be anything. You must have seen that many a times जैसे ही budget आता है, there are so many debates around it, right? News channel पे आपने देखा होगा, on various other channels you must have seen that budget debates are going on, where they criticize and they are they are in favor of the budget. So few people will say no, this budget does not cater to all of these things. Few people will say no, this budget takes care of these things, right? So ऐसा नहीं हो सकता, unfortunately, because the country is huge and it's a developing stage. ऐसा नहीं हो सकता that every year the government takes down all the sectors and all the segments and try to spend, right? Some unbalanced way growth and development has to be done, and which is why the budget will always tell you about this structure. Okay, so which is why आपको summary पढ़ना जरूरी है. Okay, so that you know the inclination. Now this year, the inclination of government is towards the 7 sectors that it calls as the priority sectors, right? What are those 7 sectors? Yes, we have devised a small acronym about it. Okay, we have a small acronym about it, and we have devised that so that it's easier for you all to learn. Okay, so if we look at this, the way to Amrit Kal, this budget talks about how in the future 25 years from now, when we reach the mark of 100 years of independence for India, right? How we are going to look at India and what India should look like, right? Yes, very good, Ishika. So we have inclusive development, we have youth power, we have reaching the last mile, we have financial sector, we have green growth, we have unleashing the potential, and we have infrastructure and investment. Okay. Good, Sunil. Yes. You remember the acronym. Very nice. So we have made a small acronym, right? Just to remember. Okay. I, guy, fry. Okay. Sorry. इधर पे guy में I have GUI. Okay. So I, guy, fry is a small acronym. I stands for inclusive development. Then guy stands for green growth, unleashing the potential and infrastructure and investment. And last, fry stands for financial sector, reaching the last mile, and youth power. Okay. You all always can learn things so quickly just so that, by making such acronyms. Okay. So remember that for Amrit Kal, these are the 7 priorities and they are the inclinations. Now, if we look at the budget from the technical angle, okay, technical angle meaning that let's look at the taxes, let's look at the concepts related to what they have mentioned about direct tax, indirect tax, what have they mentioned about some sectors. Okay, so for all of that we go for part B. Okay, part A talks about the Amrit Kal. Okay, the I, guy, fry, the priorities. Okay, but the part B talks about the technicalities. Okay, now these are the estimates, budget estimates. Now when we talk from the point of view of indirect taxes, what is our aim? क्या aim है इंडिया का? Where does India want to reach? So with the indirect taxes, now indirect taxes play a very vital role, or taxes play a very vital role in the economy because they help in increasing, expanding the revenue. Okay, and that revenue can be utilized by the government to do all sorts of developmental things, right? अब इस revenue में there are 2 ways in which the revenue can be attained. So there is in the tax revenue, you have 2 ways in which you can understand the taxes. There is direct taxes and there is indirect taxes, right? Now, what is direct and indirect? Kuch nahi hai, it's very simple. Direct meaning something which is related to the income, because income is direct to the person or an individual or the company, right? It is directly related. Income is directly related to the entity. So that comes, anything which relates to income comes under direct tax. For example, the personal income tax, right? Or the wealth tax or the corporate income tax. All of these become the direct tax, right? Which are compulsory. आप इससे तो बच नहीं सकते. And of course, बचना नहीं चाहिए because these are the proportions or the percentages as mentioned in the tax slabs, right? But दूसरा टाइप का टैक्स होता है indirect tax, right? That also you must be knowing. You must have heard about. Indirect tax क्या होता है? अब ये word indirect, what does this mean? That it is of course not direct. So then how can the government collect it? So the government focuses on goods and services. Okay, goods and services are major priority or major area of concern for collecting the indirect taxes. Okay, for example, if you bypass a state or a city, interstate border, okay, you bypass an interstate border और आपको एक टोल नाका मिलता है, right? And you bypass that, right? And you have the the QR thing on your bike or on your car, right? And through which some कुछ पैसा कटता है और उसके बाद आप जा सकते हो. So why do you pay? What is this toll fees that you are paying? Why do you pay? Because when that road or that highway or that interstate connecting border was constructed, okay, there was of course a lot of expenditure which was done, and the service that you are using now, of course you might not be using it every day, not every person is using that service every day, but because you are using that service and uske liye kuch government ने expenditure किया है, तो as a dutiful citizen we have to pay a small percentage, a small tiny percentage of that expenditure to the government. It can be something like 40 rupees or 60 rupees or 75 rupees or something like that, right? And that's something that sometimes it's two ways also, sometimes it's one way only, right? So this kind of tax is an indirect tax, right? Which is for a good or a service. Okay, understood? Now, what is the aim with indirect taxes with the Indian economy? Firstly, we want to promote exports, okay? Promote exports and enhance the domestic value addition. Domestic value addition matlab ki whatever commodities and services we are producing on home ground, जो भी हम domestic produce कर रहे हैं, services, goods and services, whatever we are producing, उनकी value enhance होनी चाहिए. The value, there has to be some value addition. Okay? Yes? And there also, it should boost the domestic manufacturing. Domestic manufacturing में boost आना चाहिए and encourage the green energy and mobility. Okay? So the indirect taxes are basically heading towards these aims. These are the 4 aims. तो आपको ये aims ध्यान में रखने पड़ेंगे, okay, while understanding the aim of indirect taxes for this year are these. Okay, yes. Sunil, क्या हो गया? What did you not understand? Let me know so that I can explain it again. That this is the budget. Okay, this is the budget, and we have the budget can be segmented into 2 parts. Okay, the first part can be the revenue receipts. Okay, the revenue receipts and the capital receipts. Okay, so because we are talking about taxes, so I just thought that let's understand from this point where all the government can receive, from where all the government can receive. How does the government receive? Because of course the government requires some funds. So how does it receive? So this is how we look at the chart. Okay, now under the revenue, okay, we have 2 parts. We have 2 parts of this also. We have the tax revenue, okay, and we have the non-tax revenue. Non-tax revenue, okay, something that is not related to tax. तो वो non-tax revenue हो गया. Revenue, अब revenue receipts and capital receipts होता क्या है? What does this revenue receipt and capital receipt mean? Okay, so revenue receipts are those receipts. Receipt मतलब something that we receive. Okay, तो ये government receive करती है. So revenue receipts are those receipts, okay, which the government will receive on a routine basis or a regular basis. ठीक है, regular basis पे ये मिलता है. Money out of the revenue receipts will be coming in a more regular way. Okay. However, when we talk about capital receipts, abhi capital receipts, when the word capital has been used, okay, so capital receipts are not like a regular receipts. Okay, capital receipts are basically lump sum and one-time receivings which the governments get. Okay, तो हम उसके भी बारे में पहले बात करेंगे, but of course first we'll talk about the revenue receipts, under which we have tax revenue and non-tax revenue. First we talk about the tax revenue, which is of course the direct and indirect taxes. Okay, now when the government taxes you, okay, directly, अभी कैसे पता चलेगा कि डायरेक्ट है कि इनडायरेक्ट है? सिंपल, डायरेक्ट मीन्स देयर इज ओनली वन सोर्स विच इज कॉमन, ओके, विद एवरीवन, जहां पे डायरेक्टली गवर्नमेंट कैन टैक्स यू, ओके, which is the income that you generate. Income that you generate. Okay, so whether you work in a factory, whether you work in a university, whether you work in an MNC, common क्या है? आपकी income. Okay, so you earn income, okay, and the businesses earn their own incomes, right? Corporate incomes, right? So this income is the common term on which the tax is incurred. Okay, so direct tax में हमेशा याद रखना, what is the parameter of direct tax? Income. Okay, so what are the examples of direct tax? You can talk about personal income tax. Yes, which is the income tax that you have to pay once you start earning your incomes, right? Then businesses को क्या पे करना पड़ता है? Corporate income tax. Corporate income tax they have to pay, correct? Right? Then there are also certain types of taxes that are related to income, which is like a wealth tax. Okay, wealth. आपके पास जो wealth है, now आपकी वो directly wealth है, that's an asset with you. So that's why direct tax can be put on that. Okay. Now, however, when we talk about indirect tax, now indirect tax is a tax on which the tax कैसे indirect हो जाएगा? Because you might not, it's a tax that you have to pay to the government, okay, because you have used goods or certain services. Okay, तो पैरामीटर यहाँ पे चेंज हो जाता है. The parameter of indirect taxes is what? Goods and services, right? So any taxes that you look at which are related to goods and services will always be indirect taxes. Okay, for example GST. GST नाम ही अपने आप में क्या है? Goods and service tax, right? So it is obviously an indirect tax, right? फिर if you go for let's say sales tax, okay, that's an indirect tax. Entertainment tax, अगर आपने entertainment लिया है, if you have taken the service of entertainment, for example you go to watch a movie, okay, so you pay a certain tax over there, which is an entertainment tax. Now, someone who has not watched the movie will not pay that tax, but you have watched the movie, so you will pay the tax, right? Similarly, VAT also is a value added tax. वो value add हो रही है. Always remember, ये जो terms होते हैं ना, इसका full form याद रखना. जब आप full form याद रखोगे, तो आपको आसानी होगी समझने में कि what comes under what. For example, the value added tax. अभी क्या बोल रहे हैं यहाँ पे? Value added. किस में आप value add कर सकते हो? You took some wheat, okay? Wheat लिया आपने और उसके बिस्किट्स बना दिए. तो ये यहाँ पे क्या हो गया? It was just wheat. But when you made biscuits, when the producer manufactured the wheat, processed it and made biscuits, तो वहां पे value add हो गया. तो उस वैल्यू एडेड का टैक्स लग गया. समझे? Did you understand? So value addition, if you have purchased a good or service where the value has added, then again it will be an indirect tax. Correct or not? Yes. You must have heard about these excise duties. Excise duty, something, some when you purchase at certain airports it's duty free. तो कौन सी ड्यूटी होती है जो फ्री होती है? एक्साइज ड्यूटी. ओके, if you purchase, then of course it will be there. It will you will have certain excise duty on it. Okay, so these are different indirect taxes. If you go and purchase goods and services, then you will have to bear the indirect taxes. अगर आप नहीं कंज्यूम करते goods and services, तो आपको नहीं देना पड़ेगा indirect tax, right? Okay. Now comes the non-tax revenue. चलो इसको भी समझते हैं. Previously, what did we learn? We learned about the tax revenue. Okay, in which we learned about direct and indirect tax. Let's also quickly go for the non-tax revenue. All of these terms are very important from the point of view of budget analysis also, right? Because ये सारे terms अगर आपको अच्छे से पता होंगे, तो when you will read the document, when you will read the summary, it will be easier, right? Non-tax revenue क्या होता है? Something which is not associated with tax. तो वो non-tax revenue. Revenue है, इसका मतलब है obviously if it's revenue, then of course the collection of this is on a regular basis. So all of those things where the government can take revenue. Okay, for example, if you go to a government office, okay, you go to the government office and you have to update your Aadhaar card. What do you have to give? You have to give a fees. You have to give a fees to the person and he will update your Aadhaar card, right? So in terms of fees, this is also a non-tax revenue of the government, right? Then if you do not wear helmet, what will happen? The police will come and charge you, okay? Fine. What is this? This is also non-tax revenue, okay? Then if you let's say if there is a certain amount of okay, so if you forget to pay your electricity bill, okay, or your water bill, okay, what happens? It will after 2-3 months they will see that okay, this person is not paying the water bill, electricity bill or whatever to the government. तो क्या करना चाहिए? इस पे पेनाल्टी लगा देनी चाहिए. Penalty, another non-tax revenue. Okay, so like these, there are many such types of non-tax revenues also through which the government will earn on a regular basis. Okay, right? So that's what is the non-tax revenue. All right. So going back to our document. Understood? Now, there are certain details in the technical document or technical part of this, okay, which of course you can learn or you can understand, okay. These are nothing, these are not very economic documents, okay. ये जो बातें कही हैं, for example, concept related to green mobility, Okay, exemption is being extended to import of capital goods and machinery required for manufacture of lithium ion cells for batteries used in electric vehicles. Oh, what about capital revenue? We forgot the capital revenue. Yes, of course. Yes, yes. Good that you remembered. I had just forgotten the capital revenue. Yes. Now, what about the capital revenue? How do you look at the capital? So under the receipts, we have capital receipts also. Okay. Like I said, these are lump sum, mostly one time receipts to the government. Now, how will this happen that at one time the government will receive a huge amount of money? कैसे हो सकता है? For example, the government had given a certain loan to a certain country. Okay, कोई XYZ country थी जिसको इंडिया ने लोन दिया था, right? And there has been like a recovery of that loan, okay, which means that recovery of that loan, so that country has returned the whole principal amount with interest and everything, lump sum amount hota hai wo, so they have returned our money, right? Now obviously it's lump sum, right, and it's one time receipt. अब आप उन्होंने वो दे दिया amount, they have fulfilled the whole process of the loan and they have given us whatever we had provided to them along with interest and everything. So now they don't have to repay us again and again, right? So one thing is recovery of loan. When there is a recovery of loan, at that time we can call it as a capital receipt. And there are many such small underdeveloped countries where India gives loan, right? Developmental loan, yeah, manufacturing loan, yeah, specific some type of loan India gives. Okay. Then you have learnt about disinvestment. ये टर्म सुना होगा आपने, disinvestment, right? What is disinvestment? What is disinvestment? When gradually the government sector starts to liquidate its departments or all of it gradually, okay, they start to liquidate and they start to sell it off. So उसको बोलते हैं disinvestment, right? Investment मतलब जब आप कुछ खरीदते हो, जैसे आपने घर खरीदा तो आप बोलते हो हमने इन्वेस्टमेंट कर लिया, right? या आपने स्टॉक्स खरीदे, so what you say, you had that investment. So disinvestment means what? When you are selling it off. So when the government sells off its assets, okay, liquidates its assets, then it's known as disinvestment. Okay, so disinvestment, जब आप कुछ बेचोगे तो क्या मिलेगा? In return there will be certain amount of money and that money will be a lump sum money. It will not be like small pieces में नहीं मिलेगा. You, for example, the government sold certain airlines, okay, or the government sold a huge industry, okay, to a private player. So what happened? This is disinvestment, okay? The disinvestment happened, okay? So this also creates a lump sum amount of money, okay? Then another way in which the capital receipts can occur is through borrowings, okay? Borrowings. Now, how come borrowings? Now, India also requires loans and advances. So, India when borrows money. So, when India will borrow money, पैसे आएंगे economy में, and when the money will come in the economy, it will be known as capital receipts, but it will be coming under borrowings, which means that it will be like a liability, which of course the government has to pay off gradually, but still it will be a capital receipt, okay? So do not get confused कि liability है फिर भी receipts में क्यों आ रहा है, ऐसा नहीं है. when you have received the money, now money will be utilized for growth and development, etc., right? So borrowings will also lead to capital receipts. Okay, correct? So these are few ways in which the capital receipts are seen. Understood all of you all? Got it? सब कुछ समझ में आया? We will continue with our class in another lecture next week. Okay.